Hello, welcome to the Tim Booker channel. Wishing you an enjoyable listening experience. Today, I'll be deciphering a book for you, which is Pomodoro Technique Illustrated. Its full title is The Easy Way to Do More in Less Time. This is a tool to help you manage your time and increase efficiency. Running out of time is a common ailment in the workplace. Many sufferers believe they have too much work and claim they don't have enough time. But the real cause is inefficiency at work. There are two typical symptoms. The first is procrastination, where a task scheduled for the morning is delayed until the afternoon. And then it's pushed to tomorrow and often not completed on time. The second is attention deficit, where during work hours, you find yourself checking social media, glancing at group messages, scrolling through friends' posts, and counting the time you're truly focused on a task, which rarely exceeds 20 minutes. While you procrastinate and lose focus, the person next door has already finished tomorrow's work. Time is fair to everyone, but efficiency determines the gap between individuals. So, is there a miracle cure for solving efficiency problems? Is there a method that can help us manage our time better? Perhaps you can give the Pomodoro Technique a try. The Pomodoro Technique was invented by an Italian, Francesco Cirillo, in 1992. We've chosen to introduce it to you through this book, Pomodoro Technique Illustrated, written by Staffan Notberg, a Swedish individual. Staffan Notberg is a dedicated enthusiast and advocate of the Pomodoro Technique. He has further refined and optimized the technique. This illustrated book on the Pomodoro Technique not only has an endorsement from the inventor, Cirillo, but it has also sold significantly better on Amazon in the United States than the original work, receiving praise from readers. It has gone through multiple editions and reprints, making it a must-read for those looking to learn the Pomodoro Technique. Now that we've covered the basic information about this book, let's delve into a detailed analysis of its content. This book primarily discusses three key aspects. First, what is the Pomodoro Technique? Where did it originate? What is the theory behind it? Second, how does the Pomodoro Technique's process work? What does a standard day for a Pomodoro worker look like? Third, how can you further optimize the Pomodoro Technique? Let's start with the first key point. What is a Pomodoro timer? The inventor of the Pomodoro Technique, Francesco Cirillo, during his early years in university, constantly struggled with low study efficiency. He couldn't complete assignments and found it difficult to concentrate on his studies. He vowed to find a method that would allow him to truly focus for a short period, even if it were just 10 minutes. He thought to himself, if only there were a coach to help me time myself. But then he wondered, who could be that coach? He walked into the kitchen and found a tomato-shaped timer. Cirillo wound it up to 10 minutes. And as time passed, the timer made a ticking sound. When the 10 minutes were up, it rang sharply. He later recalled, "That's how I met my Pomodoro timer." This was, in fact, the prototype of the Pomodoro timer, a true tomato-shaped clock. Subsequently, the Pomodoro timer quickly gained popularity worldwide. If you search for keywords on Google, you'll find nearly 4.55 million results in the top 10 productivity paid apps on Apple's App Store. 2 of them are time management apps based on the Pomodoro Technique. So, what exactly is this popular Pomodoro timer? It's quite simple, actually. We list our daily tasks and then break our work time into several small blocks. Focus on one task for the first 25 minutes. Then take a full 5-minute break. Each 30-minute block like this is called a Pomodoro timer, or a Pomodoro session. You might be reminded of an app called Forest, Stay Focused, which is used to plant virtual trees. By staying focused for 25 minutes without using your phone. This app is designed based on the principles of the Pomodoro Technique. You might find it strange that something so simple can truly help with attention deficit. and procrastination. So, what makes it one of the most popular time management methods out there? Next, let's delve into the principles behind it. The first principle is the concept of flow. Author Staffan Notberg lived in the suburbs of Stockholm and often commuted for over 20 minutes by bus to his office in the city center. He discovered that his efficiency in reading on the bus was higher than at any other time. Why was this the case? Well, back then, there were no smartphones. And being in a closed environment like a bus shielded him from phone calls and faxes. The bus driver would naturally remind him to get off at his stop. During this time on the bus, he could fully immerse himself in reading. According to the theory by American psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, this state of complete immersion in an activity is called flow. People in a state of flow are exceptionally productive. This is why gamers addicted to a game can stare at the screen for hours without feeling tired. Or artists, when inspired, can produce a flurry of creative work while being oblivious to the world around them. During a Pomodoro session, we focus on one task for 25 minutes, creating an environment conducive to achieving a state of flow. You can think of each Pomodoro session as akin to reading a book on a bus, where we enter a flow state, lose track of time, and naturally enhance our efficiency. The second principle behind the Pomodoro technique is hemispheric brain division theory, discovered by Nobel laureate and American neurophysiologist Roger Sperry. The two hemispheres of the brain have distinct functions in cognitive activities. The left brain is primarily responsible for judgment and organization, akin to a rational analyst. The right brain, on the other hand, is responsible for imagination and creativity, similar to a sensitive artist. While we discussed the benefits of the flow state earlier, it's essential to note that prolonged periods in a flow state can carry risks. One might end up like the scientist in the story, Newton, who mistakenly cooked a watch instead of an egg in a pot. We know that sustaining high-speed activity in both the left and right brain simultaneously is challenging. Creation and organization often don't coexist harmoniously. People in a flow state often lack a holistic perspective. Therefore, in our work, we can't just be analysts and neglect the artist within. After completing a Pomodoro's work time, the following 5-minute break allows us to step back from the immediate task, gain a broader perspective, and make strategic decisions. This enables us to immerse ourselves fully in a new task. During the next flow stage, the alternating cycle of work and rest ensures a balanced state of both body and mind, combining effort and relaxation. The third principle behind the Pomodoro technique is the classical conditioning theory. The experiments conducted by the Soviet psychologist Ivan Pavlov should be quite familiar to everyone. Between each feeding session for his dogs, Pavlov would ring a bell, creating a bell sound. Through repetitive reinforcement of this stimulus, a reflex was established between the bell sound and feeding. Afterward, whenever the bell rang, regardless of whether there was food present, the dogs would salivate. Similar situations can be observed in humans. The author gave an example, mentioning that before going to bed every night, he brushes his teeth. Now, when he squeezes toothpaste, he starts feeling sleepy. Similarly, the habit of using the Pomodoro technique can also serve as a form of classical conditioning training for the brain. When you initiate a Pomodoro session, your attention becomes highly focused. And as the countdown concludes and the bell rings, you naturally relax. Additionally, the countdown of the Pomodoro timer reinforces our attention and adds a sense of ritual to our work. In terms of boosting productivity, the Pomodoro technique is simple yet powerful. Behind the small Pomodoro timer, there are several psychological theories at play. However, it's essential to understand that the Pomodoro technique as a whole is not just about working for 25 minutes and taking a 5-minute break with the timer. This is actually a misconception. The Pomodoro technique is a comprehensive time management system, and only by incorporating the Pomodoro timer as a tool can you harness its full potential. So, how does the time management process of the Pomodoro technique operate specifically? Let's move on to the second key point. What does a standard day look like for a Pomodoro worker? Since we're discussing the daily workflow of Pomodoro workers, let's start with how to plan your day after waking up. This is the first step of the Pomodoro technique, planning. In this step, you need to prepare 3 lists. First, you should collect your to-dos and create a task list. To-dos are essentially things that have been on your mind. Tasks you want to complete but haven't yet. You can take out a piece of paper and write them down as they come to mind, whenever that may be. Whether they are work-related, household chores, or personal hobbies, jot them down. With this task list in hand, the next step is to extract today's to-dos. How to do this? Take another piece of paper and write today's date on it. From your task list, identify the tasks you intend to complete today. This becomes your second list, the daily to-do list. Now, after deciding on today's to-dos, when should you start? The author provides a guiding principle: start now. Use a highlighter to mark the task from your daily list that you can fully focus on right now. Estimate how many Pomodoro sessions it will take to complete this task. Then, set your Pomodoro timer accordingly. This becomes your third list, the Start Now list. This list contains only one item, the most important task at hand. So, these are the first steps in the Pomodoro technique, planning. It helps us clarify 3 critical aspects: knowing what to do, knowing when to do it, and estimating how long it will take. Once you've made your plan, you can move on to the work phase. The second step of the Pomodoro technique is execution. As we mentioned earlier, a Pomodoro consists of 25 minutes of focused work and a 5-minute complete break. It may sound straightforward, but how can you ensure you stay focused during work? And how can you ensure your breaks are truly refreshing? These are the questions we address in the execution phase. During work, we often encounter various interruptions, which can be broadly categorized into 2 types. First, there are internal interruptions, where your own thoughts distract you. For example, halfway through a Pomodoro session, you suddenly remember that you need to buy movie tickets for your girlfriend tonight. So, you open a ticket booking app on your phone. Sound familiar? The other type is external interruptions, where you're interrupted by unexpected work-related matters. For instance, a colleague asks you to make photocopies. A client calls to inquire about progress. Or your supervisor schedules an impromptu meeting. How should we handle these interruptions? Can we pause the Pomodoro timer and come back to it later when we're free? The answer is a resounding no. The Pomodoro timer is atomic, meaning it's indivisible. What does that mean? It means that within the same Pomodoro session, you can only focus on one task. If you switch to something else, you must cancel the current Pomodoro session and start over, no matter how much time has passed. Some may think this rule is too strict, but in fact, the atomic nature of the Pomodoro timer serves as a safeguard for maintaining focus. If the Pomodoro timer could be arbitrarily divided, what would distinguish it from regular time? Exactly. Dividing Pomodoro time would undermine the sense of ritual, disrupt flow, and forfeit the benefits of concentration and combating procrastination. While the Pomodoro technique can't guarantee uninterrupted time, it does prepare you with strategies to deal with 2 types of interruptions. For internal interruptions, the strategy is to record. If you suddenly remember something you need to buy, simply jot it down on your list. For example, write, buy movie tickets. After the Pomodoro session ends, you can take out your phone and handle it. You won't forget it, and it won't derail your focus. For external interruptions, the strategy involves 4 steps: inform, negotiate, schedule, and respond. Let's take an example where a colleague asks you to make photocopies. First, you should inform them that you're currently working on a document. Next, negotiate a suitable time, like during your lunch break. Then, schedule the task by adding it to your to-do list for the day. If it's a complex task, consider setting a dedicated Pomodoro timer for it. Lastly, respond according to your commitment. This strategy essentially involves agreeing on a time and recording it for future handling. Of course, in cases of external interruptions like a sudden meeting called by your supervisor, where negotiation and delay aren't possible, you'll have to cancel the current Pomodoro session and restart it once the interruption is over. By employing these strategies to handle interruptions, you maintain focus during Pomodoro sessions. So, how can we achieve deep relaxation? Keep in mind that the main purpose of your break time is to recharge your brain, allowing it to process the information you've absorbed. Therefore, the most effective ways to relax include taking a short nap, getting up and moving around, having a glass of pure water, gazing out of the window, or practicing mindfulness meditation. If you are an office worker primarily engaged in desk work, it's advisable not to make phone calls, reply to emails, or read the news during your break time. These activities can add unnecessary stress and pressure to the upcoming Pomodoro session and won't provide the rest you need. There's a saying in the West, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. This saying holds some truth. By following the methods outlined above and efficiently using the Pomodoro technique throughout the day, even when combining focused work and deep relaxation, we still need to perform a final step before going to sleep, summarizing and reviewing. In Pomodoro terms, this involves 3 steps: recording, processing, and visualizing. Recording. Besides tracking the number of interruptions and their causes, you can also record the number of Pomodoros you've completed and what you accomplished during each. Go into detail. For example, let's say you scheduled 3 Pomodoros to work on a copywriting project today. The first Pomodoro was interrupted internally because you needed to use the restroom, the second Pomodoro was interrupted externally because your supervisor called for an impromptu meeting, and you ultimately used 4 Pomodoros to complete today's copywriting work, etc. This is what I call objective tracking, timely recording and preserving important data from the execution phase. Processing. Processing involves analyzing the recorded information to find valuable insights. For example, do you frequently experience internal or external interruptions? How many interruptions do you face on average during each Pomodoro session? On average, how many Pomodoros can you complete in a day? Where does most of your time go, work, household chores, or personal interests? This is the first step of subjective analysis, gathering basic data to identify issues. Visualizing. Visualizing, in short, means deriving improvement strategies from the data analyzed earlier. This is the second step of subjective analysis, finding answers to the problems identified during initial analysis. For instance, if you find that it takes 2 Pomodoros to write only 500 words, which is not efficient, how can you improve? You might try dedicating 1 Pomodoro to outlining the content and then starting the actual writing. Alternatively, you can write a rough draft in 1 Pomodoro and use another Pomodoro for revisions. Afterward, you can compare the effectiveness of these methods and make adjustments based on your preferences. So, with these repeated cycles, you gain a new understanding of time. Firstly, you understand how many Pomodoros it takes to complete a task and whether that time has improved or worsened compared to the past. You also reflect on the reasons for any setbacks and improvements and consider how to further enhance your productivity. This way, you can plan your time more effectively for the next day, achieving continuous self-improvement. Secondly, you realize the incredible amount of work you can accomplish when you focus. Naturally, you'll be less inclined to procrastinate. In summary, a standard day for a Pomodoro worker includes 3 phases: preparation after waking up in the morning, execution during work hours, and review before sleep at night. These 3 phases encompass planning, execution, recording, processing, and visualizing. They help you clarify your goals, work efficiently, relax deeply, track data, improve processes, understand time, and ultimately take control of your life. With that said, I believe you may still have some lingering doubts. For example, how do you translate these theories into action? Now, let's move on to the third key point: how do we further optimize the Pomodoro technique in practical use? Many people may wonder whether, despite its many benefits, the Pomodoro technique appears somewhat mechanical. They may worry that it could become tedious, leading to eventual abandonment. In his book, Notebird mentions a key trick to sticking with the Pomodoro technique as a lifestyle, gamifying it. Let me sum it up. This is essentially about providing timely positive feedback or rewards in a gamified manner. Undoubtedly, completing a Pomodoro session during the execution phase gives a sense of achievement. However, the energy derived from this sense of accomplishment is limited and may not necessarily fuel us to enthusiastically complete the next Pomodoro session. So, how can we magnify this sense of achievement? The solution is to gamify the feedback behind your work tasks. Why are games so addictive? One of the reasons is their immediate feedback. In a game, when you successfully use a skill against an enemy, they immediately lose health. Defeat a monster, and you instantly gain loot. Take down a boss, and you level up right away. Players are constantly in a positive loop of completing tasks and receiving rewards. It keeps the adrenaline pumping, and they keep playing. Taking a cue from the author's theory, my suggestion is that after completing a Pomodoro session, you can immediately reward yourself with a small gift. Celebrate this small success. In life, we often think about buying things for ourselves or our loved ones, but when it comes time to spend money, we hesitate. This is where you can link the number of completed Pomodoros to your shopping decisions. For instance, completing 2 Pomodoros could earn you that novel you've been eyeing. After finishing 4 Pomodoros, you could gift your family a quarterly subscription to a video streaming service. If you complete 8 Pomodoros every day for a week, you could treat yourself and a friend to a night out watching a musical, and so on. In life, without feedback or applause for what we do, it's easy to feel disheartened. So, why not treat yourself a bit better? Create feedback for yourself. This way, not only will you efficiently complete your work, but you'll also enrich your spiritual life by satisfying your material desires. Don't you agree? Instead of tightly clutching your wallet with hesitation, it's more rewarding to reward yourself reasonably and happily. Completing each Pomodoro is like celebrating a mini-festival. This is a clever way to turn the Pomodoro technique into a habit and is the key to forming any habit successfully. So, there you have it, optimization is complete. The trick is to reward yourself gamified fashion immediately after completing a Pomodoro session. Do you still remember what a Pomodoro is? Let's refresh our memory. A Pomodoro is a time management tool consisting of 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute deep relaxation period. Its underlying psychological principles include the flow theory, the theory of left brain and right brain functions, and the theory of classical conditioning. Today, we discussed the Pomodoro technique, which is a time management method based on the Pomodoro timer. It consists of 3 phases: planning, execution, and review. In the morning, you plan your day, identify today's to-do list and the current task list, and estimate the number of Pomodoros needed. The execution phase focuses on handling interruptions and achieving deep relaxation during breaks. In the evening, you analyze and optimize the number of completed Pomodoros and interruption occurrences, striving for gradual improvement in your daily routine to better plan your time for tomorrow. By following the Pomodoro technique's process, your work efficiency is bound to improve significantly over time. Alright, that's the end of the explanation of the Pomodoro Technique Illustrated. Congratulations on completing another book. Thank you for your support and attention. Please subscribe to the Tim Booker channel, like, and share this valuable knowledge with your friends. Let's combine wisdom with practice to achieve our financial goals and create a better future. Thank you all, and goodbye.